Welcome to today's Explainer, where we take raw reports and break them down so you can understand exactly what happened. Today, we're unpacking a truly shocking and highly unusual local crime report that recently came out of Union, Missouri. Drawing on documents from the Franklin County Sheriff's Office and reporting from First Alert 4, we're going to look at the anatomy of an incident that escalated incredibly fast. Okay, let's dive into this. Because how does a quiet Saturday instantly become a literal fight for survival involving a terrifying homemade weapon? I mean, really think about that. The fast-paced and dramatic nature of this break-in requires us to carefully structure our understanding of the events. We're going to walk through the timeline, the weapon, and the aftermath to grasp the full picture of what authorities say occurred just outside the Union City limits. Section 1. A terrifying break-in. So, looking strictly at the probable cause statement, we can see how this chaotic sequence began. According to the document, the events unfolded in rapid-fire succession. It all started on a Saturday at a house located just outside of Union. The intruder breaks into the home, but you guys, this was definitely not your standard burglary. The situation immediately escalated when a woman inside the home was suddenly doused in gasoline. And before anyone could even process that massive threat, we hit the third point: a physical assault against a second victim. Now, that physical assault is a absolutely crucial detail to isolate. The intruder actually strikes the male victim on the head with a flashlight. This secondary weapon instantly forced the male victim into a desperate hand-to-hand struggle with the intruder. So picture this. Not only do you have a highly volatile situation with a liquid accelerant, but you've got a physical brawl happening at the exact same time inside the home. Section 2. Anatomy of the weapon. Which brings us to the most shocking detail of the entire report: the makeshift device that the suspect allegedly brought into the home. Deconstructing this device, exactly as it was described in the police report, reveals a terrifying level of premeditation. The suspect didn't just bring a simple can of gas, right? He brought a heavily modified fire extinguisher. The surface of this thing had been entirely sanded down. On the side, the chilling words "flamethrower" were explicitly written out. Plus, the actual mechanics of the device were altered. A metal pipe was taped to the end of the extinguisher and a piece of cloth was stuffed inside. It was designed to mimic a highly destructive weapon. And that brings us to the immediate aftermath of this device being deployed. The deputies noted in their report, and I quote, "The entire house reeked of gasoline." To really understand this, we need to viscerally imagine what those victims were experiencing in that moment. A physical brawl is actively happening, a woman is completely soaked in fuel, and this overpowering, suffocating smell of gasoline just fills the entire structure. It creates an incredibly dangerous environment where a single tiny spark could mean absolute catastrophe. Section 3. The escape and arrest. Let's shift our focus to how the victims responded to this absolute nightmare and how law enforcement stepped in. While the male victim was locked in a fight with the intruder, the woman who had been soaked in gasoline took really swift action. Step 1, she managed to escape the house and ran to a nearby business. Step 2, she immediately calls 911 for help. Thanks to her quick thinking under unimaginable stress, law enforcement was alerted right away. Which leads to Step 3. The Franklin County deputies were able to locate and arrest the suspect later that very same day, right within the Union City limits. But here's the twist. Despite the really swift arrest and the very specific nature of the scene left behind, the 32-year-old suspect officially denied any involvement in the break-in to authorities. He fully maintains his innocence. So let's move to the final piece of our analysis and see how all of this builds into the legal reality he's now facing. Section 4. Charges and background. We're looking at the specific identity of the suspect, Christopher Viehland, and the severe legal hurdles placed in front of him. Authorities absolutely did not hold back on the charges. The most severe among them is first-degree burglary. To really grasp the gravity of this, first-degree burglary involves unlawfully entering a building to commit a crime. But what elevates it to the first degree is typically doing so while armed with a deadly weapon or causing physical injury. Given the modified fire extinguisher, the gasoline, and that flashlight attack to the head we discussed earlier, well, it's pretty clear why prosecutors are pursuing this top-tier charge. And this really illustrates the full legal picture. Christopher Viehland's current charges for this Saturday incident include first-degree burglary, domestic assault, and third-degree assault. But when we look at the court records, they show us a prior criminal history that includes previous charges of domestic assault, stealing, and disturbing the peace. It shows a documented history intersecting with the justice system, particularly concerning assault. As for what happens next, the justice system is already in motion. A bond hearing for Viehland is officially scheduled for Monday at the Franklin County Circuit Court. That's where a judge will review these terrifying facts, along with his prior record, to determine if, or under what conditions, he might actually be released pending trial. Which leaves us with this final thought. With a terrifying makeshift weapon like a sanded down flamethrower utilized, a house literally reeking of gasoline, and a suspect completely denying the whole shebang despite the evidence, how will the upcoming court proceedings actually unfold? It's a gripping case that pushes the boundaries of a typical break-in. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep analyzing, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.